Yeah. So, hey, Niklas, welcome to our podcast. How are you
Thank
doing
you.
today?
Yeah, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I had a wonderful weekend, kind of exciting, but also glad it's over. What about yourself? How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was good. It's in Australia. It's been a public holiday because we got Australia Day, and that's a public holiday here. So the weather was good. So a little bit of walking outside and some stuff. But as a founder, public holiday is a normal day. So it was
Oh,
all work today.
it's the best day because you have no meetings and you can work
Yeah,
without them.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah. So welcome to the podcast. So this is really about founders and their story of their product. And I'm particularly excited having you as a guest and that you
Mm.
accepted it because I'm a big data nerd and I did that in Canva at Meta. I built hundreds or thousands of dashboards
Mm.
during my time there.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm just super excited you give me the opportunity to be here today and talk about your product. But before we start, we have a new thing, an icebreaker to
Oh, okay.
loosen up the chords. And it's like a 10-second loss. It needs to be
Okay.
artificial. It cannot be real.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put the timer on in
Okay.
10 seconds. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you ready?
I'm ready. Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha
Okay,
ha.
it's 10 seconds.
Okay, good.
How was that?
Yeah, that was good actually. I think it's I underestimated the power of that.
Pretty awkward, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's relaxing. It's good.
I stole it from another podcast, by the way. It was my idea, but I thought
Mm,
because I went there and I thought, oh, it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So let's start. So tell me a bit about your vision and journey on creating your product. What's the name of your product, first of all?
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Claro, and Claro is an easier way for people, particularly without a financial background, to perform numerical tasks like forecast or business case or analysis or report, like any kind of numerical task that's important to your job or your current situation. And these people typically find themselves either having to ask people in data teams for help or try to navigate through a spreadsheet. And, I kind of came across this opportunity because through my career, I found that quantified thinking and numerical thinking is a great precursor for a good decision. If you can model the world or make sense of it or use the data you have, not that that's the be all end all, but if you can somehow make use of that in your decision, you make a better decision. But I found time and time again that, yeah, again, if you don't have a financial background or a technical background, your options of how to make sense of them is very limited. The tools are, it's quite a high technical barrier to entry to use those tools. And yeah, as I started talking to people, this became more and more true. And yeah, that's kind of how I started the business to dig into this problem. And then it's been a long journey from the start of that to where we are now. And I'm happy to talk more to that.
Congrats, first of all. And then my other question is, okay, I love your startup pitch, first of all. But the real thing is, what motivated you become a founder? Like, if you go back to your childhood, did you like woke up one day and were like, I want to do things? Or, how come that you want to do this? I mean, you could do many other things, I assume.
Yep.
Unlike me,
Yep.
because I'm unemployable. I don't have a choice.
Yeah. Well, some say that people that do this like pain, and that's one answer. But I think if I look back, it's like kind of difficult, right? Like to be sure. But I've always, since a kid, I have been quite creative. I've always loved sketching stuff, and I've always loved math. So I've always been very good at math, and I've enjoyed like the logical reasoning that comes with math. And then uni came around, and I hadn't decided which one I liked the most. So I did industrial design and mechanical engineering because I like both. And then my goal then was to like design the next Ferrari. Like that's what I want to do. And as an industrial designer, like car is like the ultimate object to design. But then I learned there's a long version of the story, but the short version is I learned that there are very few people that get to do that, to be a lead car designer. And I'm not Italian, so Ferrari is probably off the list. And, through that process, I kind of found a new avenue for my creativity, which was business and starting companies. And I did that on the side as I was studying. I also worked in a student consulting company, which was quite entrepreneurial. We built the business out and stuff. And I think that's when I learned that new ideas and startups is perfect vehicle for my
You
creativity.
did it in Australia or in Sweden?
This was in Sweden, yeah.
In Sweden. Okay.
Um,
Which city was it in?
this was in Gothenburg. Yeah.
Ah,
Have you been?
no, but I do have friends in Stockholm, obviously.
Yeah.
And I almost attended Lund University or so it's
Mm,
called.
mm.
But then I
Yeah.
I went to a different university and they have very good education there. Because I'm from Austria, so yeah.
Yeah.
There, there's many things I want to ask you, but first, I also have been drawing a lot, and for some reason I was quite talented in math. I was always, without a lot of effort, pretty good in school. I don't know why. And my mom is actually a custom designer and stage designer. So I would like build little stages and stuff as a kid.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so what are your parents doing? Was it like they were also like creative, or were you just drawn to the creativity? So what made it happen for you?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, my parents are probably entrepreneur is probably on the quite risky side in terms of a profession. They are probably on the total opposite. My mom has worked for the Swedish tax division for like more or less her entire life, except one job early. And my dad, he's worked at local bank. He's retired now, but for
Better
all of
don't
his
move
life.
back so your mom doesn't get you, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's some funny tax stories from when I was a kid because I used to also be a referee for floorball, like which is a very popular sport in Sweden, and they used to pay in cash. So when I came home, I was always saying to mom like, they paid in cash, no tax, and she's like, don't tell me anything about this.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's so interesting. That's also one thing I learned in this podcast series, that creativity is not something that you learn with your parents. Just because my mom is an artist doesn't mean that other people don't like to draw. And obviously it's a bit more likely, but a lot of people here I speak to on this podcast, they are creative for different reasons, just because they're drawn to it. And I think the difference is that the parents enable them, because
Yeah,
it's
that's
also,
right.
I think your mom could also like, and your dad forced you to have a safe job, but for some reason they thought, hey, Niklas can do whatever he wants and doesn't need to be what we need to do. And I think it's more this
Yes.
openness. What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, it sounds like you've had a similar experience, but my parents were super supportive of whatever I wanted to do. Pretty much, yeah, I felt that since an early age. And even when I got older, say, late teens, or I moved to Australia on a scholarship, for example, and they were always supportive. And I even was meant to come back and finish my master's degree, but I quit after 1 year because I got an opportunity to join a startup here. And they were still supportive. Like, yeah, of course you should. My mom was a bit like, yeah, you come back at one point, right? So, but because she loves me, right? They were always supportive, and I think that's what matters. To your point, like they don't have to be directly doing what you love doing, but if they're supportive, you find your way. And my parents were very supportive.
Yeah. Mine too. I'm also very
Yeah,
lucky about
yeah.
that. So yeah. So what inspired you to work on Claro and numbers? Because it sounds like, based on everything you tell me, it's about
Mm,
creativity, it's about math, and
mm,
your product does kind of both. It's my
mm,
little understanding, right?
mm. Yeah,
So you do your dream, you build your Ferrari just with numbers, right?
yeah.
You design your
It's
Ferrari.
Yeah, seriously, it's like you read my mind, because I really feel this is my Ferrari in a way, because it combines. I think the problem with the world of numbers is that um, there's a lot of power in there, but there's not as much accessibility. And the task of Claro is making numbers-driven thinking accessible and approachable to people. And that is largely a challenge of design. Like, how do you build an educational journey where maybe you start with a simple use case of just calculating the tax you have to add on top of your goods when you sell them online, and then you feel confident around that. Okay, maybe next step is to calculate how much should you buy so that you don't use up enough cash from your business, and like you can do it in stepping stones. And I think Claro is a lot about breaking it down and taking step by step, and yet it's largely a
But
design
also
challenge.
asking the right questions, right? asking the
Yeah.
right. I should, I was starting in Facebook 2014, and one of my good friends there, Nikita. I'm not in touch anymore because she lives now in the States.
Right.
And she told me a lot about data and stuff because she was Indian, or she's Indian. So in India there's these exams in high school, and you're ranked on a national scale. Like I think there's 1 million people, and she was the best one in mathematics of this year out of 1
Wow.
million people, one in
Wow.
a million. So, and
Wow.
Facebook back then, 2012, 14, before IPO and just after, they tried to hire the absolute best of the best people in the world. So they would headhunt people, like similar what Google did in the early days. They would send scouts in universities. And she was my peer. And she was incredible smart, like smart to a point where I didn't even feel stupid anymore because I just accepted it's just a different level of thinking. She basically taught me a lot about asking the right questions and how to find proxy data. And I think a lot of the things that you do anyhow, because my background is business, I had a lot of statistics as well, like lots of
Oh, yeah.
statistics and stuff like this. Also, I know like CAT tools and doesn't matter, but a lot of statistics and mathematics. And then she basically taught me through coaching, like over 1 or 2 years, how to ask the right question. Because very often business leaders will come and say, "Oh, we need I worked for Facebook pages at Facebook. They were like, "Oh, what do we like? We have 1 million requests a month. Like, why is that? Like, what is the biggest reason?" And then there's like the biggest reasons, but the biggest reason is not actually what causes the most costs. And you basically learn to refine the questions rather than just answering them, because if you answer them, you might spend hours in your database and finding it when they actually want something else. And
Yes.
that's what I really loved learning as a product analyst at Facebook in my first job. And that's also what I saw from your app, what I've seen, how it works.
Yeah.
I think this can solve really for that because it makes it very obvious and even helps executives and founders ask questions and then iterate and help then analysts as a tool to educate them as well, what they actually want to ask, right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, with the advent of AI, like this becomes easier to productize because you can build these types of workflows and ways of questioning into the product that helps guide you, and essentially almost playing back. You sure you want this? Didn't you mean this? Oh, yes, actually, I did mean. Like this becomes much easier. But like you said, it's a very difficult skill to learn in some ways. It's actually easy once you know it in a sense, but we're so habitual that it's hard to unbias yourself in a way.
But Claro isn't doing that, right?
Yeah, so
Claro.
like Claro is at the moment. So we launched we have had, the journey has been a long one. We've had a few iterations of the product and learned a lot along the way. And then we built a bunch of prototypes. And now I think I would argue this is a build to last product that we launched in end of December or like mid-December.
Yeah.
And so the first version of the product is quite simple.
I'm so
It's a
excited for
canvas.
it. I'm really so excited for it. Yeah. Sorry. Keep talking.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's a basic canvas, and on this canvas you can then put different blocks, and these blocks become individual components of your analysis or of your workspace. And because you can create this modular kind of collage of different pieces, it becomes
kind of
easier
like
to
separate tables that you can join, or
separate tables. I mean, the vision is large. Like initially, like I think so the first version is you have a table product or table block, we call it, and you can have tabular data in there. You can then refer to tables and combine them. We also have a notepad, and in this notepad you can perform calculations using plain English. So you can write revenue 5,000, cost is 3,000, therefore profit is revenue minus cost, and you can perform like the way you write math expressions.
So a little bit like
using
Airtable,
English.
right? Or Airtable or style, right? Where
you can say that, in some ways.
Would you be comfortable, because I was also product lead for Canva, the logged out homepage, the main landing page. Would you be comfortable just demoing them the landing page? You don't have to show the product if you don't want to, but
no, I'm happy to. But for some reason, my mouse stopped working. Sorry,
I can do it. Don't worry, I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like this is weird. My mouse actually stopped working. I have to like
No,
restart.
don't worry. Claro app.
Yeah, claroapp.com. That's right.
Wait, I'm gonna go in incognito
Yeah.
because have some sensitive information here.
Yeah. Oh, why it stopped? Hey.
Is it okay if I share my thoughts on your homepage as
Yeah,
the
please
former
do.
homepage person?
Roast me. You know.
I'm not gonna roast you. You know
Okay.
me. I'm gentle.
Yeah. Yeah. True. True. True.
Okay. Here we are.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Clear headline. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Email. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that. Okay, this is clickable. Maybe don't make it clickable because people will click on it. But okay, this is very nice screenshot, like showing the thing. No finance background needed. Yeah. So it's not complicated design for how you think. Creators, and here are the different ICPs, right? E-commerce.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And you're still figuring out who is the real perfect ICP for, I assume. What do you have already one ICP that is like going completely nuts?
Yeah. So like
Entrepreneurs?
I'll be honest. Like when I started off, I did some templates on Google Sheets and I posted on LinkedIn. And my first post got like 3,500 comments. The second one got 7,000 comments. And within a few days, we had 6,000 downloads of my templates. And I put there was no spend. So we have a large waiting list, but we're very slowly inviting people now because we've got a few design partners that we're working with. And
Yeah.
the ones that are the ones that we are working with now that have the highest, that looks like the most promising ICP are people who are e-commerce founders. Like say, do you turn over up to like 10 million? They find a lot of use of it. And then we have people who are creatively inclined that have a business. So like startups where maybe the founder is like more creative, that's their strength. Or I have one person, he runs a production company and he plans he's got 10 or 20 or so artists that he works with, and he plans their concerts and things like that. And he's work out if we're going to do a tour in New Zealand, we need to make sure it's profitable. And he, looks at the cost in doing a concert in Auckland and Christchurch. And so those are the kind of people we're working with, but it's a very small list. But if anyone is listening and you feel like, hey, I'm creatively inclined, I need this, then please reach out because we're inviting people weekly still, but it's a small number. Yeah.
Yeah. You should update this 2025. That's easy.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm taking notes here.
I think for the one thing I find, take it with a grain of salt, just maybe have it just a button and increase the contrast because this is like this, it's almost the same. And don't have these things here, rather put the product on top,
Right.
because you put these icons later because you can show or just move. Let's try something out.
Oh yeah, do it live here.
Wait 1 second. It's a bit small. Okay, yeah. So here, for example, you see it's like to move this up, it's like much stronger already. We did this at Subscribe, so we did a lot of research on this headline here. That was my old homepage. You see, you can start with that, and then you can add it later, and you can even try to move this up here. I know you want to have this above the fold, but maybe just move this up here so they see the product, and then have it just a button and change it this join today maybe from white to something higher contrast.
Yeah,
and
like
have some sort of please.
No, like, this is good. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and then instead of this field here, because you need to enter and then this, make it 2 steps, because sometimes it helps if you break down the steps for people. When you go to a bank, it's like 1, 2, 3. So separate it and use like short form. I mean, you're an engineer, you can code, right? But basically, when you go here, you see there's like some step in between, so it guides you. So, and I would do the same for this one here. So when you just have one button, join today, and then you go to a landing page with the sign up of the email. And you can ask more information who they are. The benefit is that you can then use different channels, not just your homepage to drive traffic there. And you can also have pop-ups here, and it's more dynamic, or even like a banner. But you don't need that now. You can think about it later. which
No,
looks
but it's
really
good
good.
because we have if you sign up now, like you put in the email and click, then we take you to a form to like fill in more information. So,
Okay. Yeah, you
but
can remove the step. Yeah, why not?
yeah. But
Uh,
then this is good. Yeah, I mean, this brings me
yeah.
back to my days at the Iconic. With Iconic was this is the largest. For those that don't know, this is the largest e-commerce fashion company in Australia and New Zealand, and I was an early employee there. And one of the investors was Rocket Internet. So this is 2011, 2012, and yeah, I mean, conversion rate optimization and this sort of discussions were happening every day in the office. And this brings back memories having this conversation with you. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's not just your European accent. It's also the content of the conversation.
Um. Okay, that's funny. Yeah. I think it will help you.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. There's one thing I wanna pick up because I send everyone a quick guide on usually the same question. I adjusted a little bit, and you said something that not many other people said. Is I would like to I would like to get perspective that could help other founders and discuss with them. And I found it kind of cool because you actually don't only want to talk about yourself, the app. So I think this goes beyond this thing you're trying to solve. Obviously, you want to find customers too or better testers. But what did you mean by that, and what motivates you around that, and how does it serve you?
So yeah, my desire for this conversation to also lead to things that could be helpful to other founders.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've learned so much from lots of people along the way, and your journey is long as a founder. I mean, I've probably had 4 businesses by now, and some have been 6, actually probably more if I count the ones that were really small. But, like I remember when I started, it was like you had so much to learn, and you learn by getting help from other people. So if something could be helpful from the journey I've been through, then yeah, I would love to share it. For example, we can talk about how we got 3,500 comments on LinkedIn, or we can talk about how recently we were successful in hiring 2 very strong members to join the team. I mean, I'm curious, what do you think founders need help with the most? What could be a good topic?
It's really, I think it's really, maybe just let them know that you are there for them and they can reach out,
Yeah, like if anyone has any question, like feel free to reach out to me.
Because the problems are so different.
Mm.
I was thinking now, maybe work-life balance. Okay, that might apply to me. I mean, I don't need it, but I'm thinking about it right now of personal reasons.
Yes.
Or I don't need it as much. So I think it's so diverse, and I think a lot of founders don't know who, especially if they come like me from companies and haven't been in this for too long, or if it's in the early stages. I mean, I also had 5 ventures before. I worked as a cook. I did all sorts of things. I had a company, but I think sometimes it feels lonely. You have to do certain things, and it's normal to feel lonely. I think just knowing there are other people out there and connecting, and like we talked before about some personal things, like all these things on like living in different countries, creating a business, or even living in the same country, like none of that is easy. And just knowing, there's people like you there that can reach out to you. So everyone, reach out to Niklas for any things like getting more comments on LinkedIn or other stuff.
Yeah, anything. Like for example, I spoke to a founder the other day who has kids, and hopefully we'll have kids at some point. And I'm like, hey, what's it like to be a dad and also run the business? Isn't that hard? I was like, no, you work it out, and I got tips. And I mean, but in my situation, I'm very, very happily married and love my wife, and that also requires, like, when you do a venture, you gotta consider that. It's not just yourself. So I mean, it can be any topic. Yeah, just reach out, and I'm by no means perfect, but hopefully I can be helpful.
I will reach out to you.
Okay, good.
I'm the first customer.
Good.
Okay. Let's speak about the product development differentiation. So you want to create some sort of real time collaborative thing.
Yep.
That's what you said.
Yes.
Or one thing you said. How do you envision the collaboration on data and how it fits all together? Like, what is going to make you like really, really cool and stand out?
Yeah, right. Yeah, because I think there are table stakes and then there are differentiation. So table stakes is you have to be collaborative, all software is collaborative. You also have to be AI native. I mean, it's a technology that has to be in your product in a native way. You can't just bolt it on top. So I think that's like table stakes. Like those are not differentiators. Those are kind of like, if you don't have that, you're not building software for the modern workforce. But then, how do you differentiate? There is obviously feature sets and your ability to do things. Specifically, I think around AI and collaboration. When we think of numerical tools now, they're often designed for people that have, say, if you open a spreadsheet, it looks the same. If I open it, who is pretty good, and I can actually build models in there. And then when I finish building my model, I have to apply all these like contrived way of locking it down and simplifying it so that when I give it to someone who doesn't need that level of detail, they can actually consume it. And that seems like a very unnecessary bunch of work. And it actually makes it harder to collaborate because the mode of how you consume the information is either the same, whether you're the builder or you're just a consumer, or you have to go through all these steps to like lock things down and stuff. So I think when I think about collaboration in Claro, we design it for, say, if you're a very good, if you're a person who's quite analytical, you can become in Claro a content creator. So you build all these blocks, these helpful things that can then be templates, like I built on LinkedIn in the early journey of Claro. You can build content and templates. And obviously the mode you do that in is a little bit more advanced because you're putting it together. Once you put together the content, you make it available, then the user who then consumes it from that point onwards, it starts from a much simpler point of view, and they get a different journey than the person who was the content creator. And that's an example of how we think about building collaboration in the product in a differentiated way, because we think of it as different user experiences. And again, with AI, those things can also be enhanced where I, for example, think of templates now. Templates is viewed as this sort of finished product that you can then play with, but really templates should be like building Lego. When you build Lego, you see the box and you see, this is so cool. This is a trapdoor. It has this. You see all the features of the thing you're going to build. Much like a template, you should be able to see, I'll get this graph at the end of it. I can see these metrics. Okay, this looks really good. Now I want to build it. And then you start from like that. You open the box and it's like five different bags, and you start with bag one and then you go through it. That's how you should feel like using a template to some degree, right? Like it should be broken down. And when you're doing that, AI could serve as this sort of expert builder that builds with you. And like you start building and like, I'm a little bit stuck. Okay, I know what you need to do. You need to do this, this, this. And because you have this beautiful canvas, the AI can say, hey, can I show you another way? Like, yeah, sure. And it go to the right of the canvas. You literally just pan and it builds a version B. And you're like, oh yeah, version B is much better than what I was doing. Let's continue with that. And then you scrap your old one and you continue with version B. And that's so easy to do on a canvas and in Claro. Again, in a spreadsheet, that's a nightmare. I mean, you have to jump between sheets. And so that's also a differentiated way of, I think, you collaborate with AI in the product. So yeah, just two examples.
Yeah, I can envision it. I can envision it. I built a financial forecast last week, and I see how version control, what you refer to, and quick iterations of scenario analysis just with natural language would have been really helpful, because obviously you need to then always change something and then you add a new assumption that you didn't know. And I mean, it's a pretty, like we're small startup. But still, you want to create a 10-year plan, how you want to reach lots of users and revenue.
Yes.
And we will achieve it, by the way. But the other thing is that the iteration, as you described it now, it's actually pretty hard right now. We use like Google spreadsheets and it's already 10 times better than Excel, because Excel is like somewhere, and each time I don't want to use it, like never.
You die a little bit inside every time you open an Excel spreadsheet,
People who grew up with Word or Excel, like my co-founder, Consti, he would be loving it. So he would be not stepping. He's like, I have all these shortcuts and all these plugins, and because he's not used to the world of web technology, but he's not getting used to it because he works with us. But I can see how for those users who use web already, I think this thing that you described with AI will be so beneficial. You can create all these versions, play around, see what happens. Maybe not too much, so the founders don't go crazy on creating 20 scenarios. It's also good having limitations. So please let them know at some point, okay, now it's enough. You don't need another scenario.
Yeah, we'll build that into the AI operator that, hey, come and tap them on the shoulder. Hey, you're going to be crazy, man. Like, keep it simple, like this,
Yeah, not
But it's
more than
actually true. I mean, I totally look at AI like that, like it's a joke in one way, but like, AI should be proactive, right? Like it should see if you seem to be
so
trending,
much
it should
noise.
make
Yeah.
a suggestion and yeah.
Yeah, AI, I think is funny that you like just sparked a thought in me, which is AI is just optimizing for the wrong things. It's like optimizing for queries and tokens, not necessarily on getting the job done when you think about it, because you pay more if you use more, but they're not actually like the AI is optimizing for creating more versions and more this and that, but they're not
Yeah,
really
yeah,
optimizing for as a business for getting the solution quick, right? In a way.
yeah. It's not in the
And it
incentive is
doesn't
not
help the
aligned.
outcome. Yeah. So that's actually my not challenge, but kind of is for your thing. Is when like how with layoff, like how to keep it still simple.
Yeah,
Like because you want to have this collaboration and things, and then also it's kind of annoying if you have then make it too easy to change it, because then everyone knows. And if everyone knows it's easy to change, everyone will change it all the time and you never make a decision. Like in a 2+ people context or in a organization, or it's harder to capture the decision because everyone knows, I can change it anytime, How do you think about that for an app that should display the most reliable information while also giving flexibility?
yeah. I mean, the world of numbers, there is an element of, I think, for various, if you look at our industry, like the world of data or the world of the world of numbers is kind of like a subset of the world of data in a way. And tools often strive towards making things simpler, but there is an element of that world that isn't simple. The nature of data and numbers that has some inbuilt complexity, and you can process it and derive insights and things out of it. But if you oversimplify, make tools too simple, then you lose a lot of the value in the process. So I suppose from a product design point of view, one way we think about it is a feature is complete when there's nothing more to remove. Strip it back as much as possible. And you would have, easy is easy, hard is possible. And this is a mantra, I think, that also the teams at Canva used quite a lot when they were thinking about products, like easy is easy, hard is possible. From my point of view, you enable the simple use case easily, and then you have to work hard to design the product to add more power. But look, a lot of people go the other way. They add all the power and then go, okay, let's now make it simple. You'd never end up with a simple product, but if you start with simple and take the challenge of increasing the power, then you start with simple. And yes, it's also then hard to add things, but that's a better way of doing it than the other way around, I think. So that's kind of how we think about it.
Yeah. So is your audience then also okay? Yeah. I mean,
A good example, like the audience, like some of our people, I asked one customer and I asked her, what are your favorite tools in the space of, when you try to solve numerical tasks? She has all tons of things. And she said, one of my favorite tools is the GST calculator. And I'm like, what's that? And there's this calculator online where you enter your price of your product and you add GST. Now, GST is goods and service tax in Australia, and it's 10%. In a math sense, you just take your number times 1.10, like you just add 10%. Like it's actually quite a simple thing. But first, I love it because I can just open it, put it in, and it does it for so it's so easy to take so many of these steps for granted when building a product. And this is again why we're different to anyone else building in this space. Everyone else builds, they're often like super strong at data or a finance background and go, we need faster and more automated. It's like, no, we don't need that, man. We need more intuitive and more approachable. And the large majority of the world, this is our bet, is that customer. And that's who we're building for. And I just don't think that anyone is building for that because, data is something that sits in the data team or in the finance team. And so,
yeah,
I mean,
I
I'm
agree with
rambling a
that
bit here.
100%. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, also in hindsight, everything makes sense. Airbnb
Yeah.
with the mattresses and Cameron with the
Yeah.
simplicity.
I mean, I feel like if we succeed at what we do, which I believe we will, in our vision of making numerical thinking accessible, it'll be the most obvious, non-obvious thing in hindsight. Once it takes off,
Yeah,
of
how you
course it
say
should be
like
like this.
obvious, non-obvious thing. Is this
Yeah,
how
like
you call it?
Yeah, like now it's non-obvious that you should focus on this audience and focus on usability and don't add power, just focus on the interface. And, we believe that's true. And then I believe it's going to be successful. And once it's successful, everybody's going to look back and go, of course you should have done that. But it's non-obvious now because no one is doing that. So we're doing it, but in hindsight, it's going to be very obvious. Canva is a very good example too, where, that was obvious. You should have done that, right? But it was not obvious
exactly,
at the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I hear that all the time from my product. Oh, it's not different. It's like, yeah, but it's table stake. It's like, yeah, but still, it's just incremental. But sometimes, I stop listening to. I mean, I'm taking it in, but I also know. And then they would say, like, yeah, look, in Airbnb it was disrupted because of X. And then I would say, like, do you think in Airbnb they knew it? And then they're like, no, but it's different. Like, but then they actually realize, like investors, many of them, that actually no one really knows at the time what they're doing. Really. I mean, that's what I truly believe, and I'm very happy that your product has such great traction and good product market fit indicators, and also in the product already has a huge wait list. So I think you should be very proud of yourself to be where you are. So congrats on that. Just I want to say it one more time.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That's not easy. Well, I mean, we talked, I think, around 30% about Claro and 70% about other things, but that's okay because this is about founders and their products. It's more about the people behind. And what tell us something about you that you think is funny or interesting that not many people know about?
Okay, there are.
I can start. Should I start?
Yeah, but you set the bar, and then I'll follow.
Okay. Oh my God. No. Oh my God. I don't know.
I can say what. Okay, so here's something that. Yeah, I'll start. Here's two things people don't know. Not many people know about me. So the first one is that I've been on Japanese TV, which was quite fun. And secondly, I have climbed higher up than Mount Everest.
We're in South America.
That's right. Yeah. See,
okay.
Nice. Yeah. For those that, I mean, it sounds strange when you say that, but yeah, I mean, you know it already. But if you count from the Earth's core, because the Earth isn't round, right? Like you got the bulge at the equator.
Yeah.
Then the mountains in South America, in this specific case, Ecuador, actually further from the center than.
Where's the mountain? Where's the mountain?
In Ecuador, it's called Chimborazo.
Chimborazo.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to discover that hobbies because I only have been working there 1.5 years, and I basically gave up on my hobbies. I'm now in Austria, so I can't surf anymore. So not
you
like
got
in
the mountains at least, so that's nice.
Yeah, but it's kind of so sad, it's like
so
high and dark and it's not for me.
Yeah, you should come back here. Come to us. Come. We have sun and water and beach.
But other business is doing so well. I can't. It's like
okay.
I mean later.
Okay, you have to choose. Business doing well, you're sad. Business doing not so good, but you're very happy.
I think if the business can be doing well, I'm happy. No, I'm speaking. I'm gonna share now something many people don't know about me. I mean, everything you shared is like pretty. How should I say? There's nothing wrong about it. It's kind of cool. You get a clap on the back, I guess. Like 1A plus. Let me think about something. I'm gonna pick something which is not necessarily awesome, I guess, but interesting. I'm gonna pick something, and I think it's not a big issue. So I used to suffer from depression. I used to I don't know why. So when I was 13, 17, and 26, I had episodes of depressions. It's potentially because it runs in the genetics, or I don't know, and also upbringing. But it is not a problem anymore because I kind of learned to identify it and manage it. But many people don't know that about me because I come across as this. I mean, you know me, I'm kind of this dude. I'm forcing you to make this podcast, basically.
That's not true.
And I think people don't know that about me, maybe. My close friends obviously know. And I think it's something what I realized many friends of mine, male friends, also have depressions. And they don't speak about it, or they don't do anything about it. Like they don't seek therapy. Particularly in Austria, I think in Australia people are much more open-minded. Also Sweden, I assume. But yeah, I'm at risk at depression now, I guess, for the entire rest of my life. But yeah, that's one thing. Yeah. But it's not for everyone out there. It's not a big thing. You can do something about it. I'm starting with therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, and good support network. I've heard like people you can call, and
exactly.
some people. I don't know what yours was like, but sometimes a big step is just to acknowledge it and be okay with the idea of that. And then once you internalize it, then you develop a relationship with it. And once you have a relationship, then you can, grow with it or learn from it or become.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's my fun fact or fact not many people know about. So yeah. So what advice would you give yourself and other aspiring founders who want to do what you're doing? And what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago, the younger Niklas?
Okay. Wow. Okay. The younger one.
Build a Ferrari. Don't go into
Yeah, that's right. Go move to Italy and try to get into Ferrari.
Would you do it?
I think. Look, I mean, a good question. Some question that some dinners where I go, like one question I like bringing up is if you had a second life, you can't live the same life you live now, but you can take a different path. Which path would you like to go? And having a stab at designing the next Ferrari, yeah, why not? That could be an interesting path. And it's not so much the answer that's interesting; it's more like what it makes you think, right? And that could be inspiring even for the life you have now. I mean, for myself, I would probably say, you got it, man. Like, I'll probably instill a little bit more confidence in myself. Like, I have not been the most confident in all facets of life. I think a lot of confidence came around academic achievement, obviously. So I felt like confident around intelligence and I wasn't uncomfortable being wrong in that sense because I knew I could learn. There are other aspects of life like self-confidence, speaking in front of people and stuff like that, or like believing in myself. Like younger version of me would have to justify everything. So I have to if I want to make a decision, then I have to show objectively why it's the best decision. And I couldn't just believe in myself that that's the best one. Like, I think trusting my gut more is probably what I would say. And it's not like you're always right, but the gut was basically not part of the equation. It's like, oh no, this is not valid.
True.
We need to have all these objective measures. Like, no, the gut's actually valid. It's not replacing what you have, but it should be part of the equation. So I think trust my gut more with that context is probably what I would say. And I mean, for anyone who wants to go through the entrepreneurial journey, maybe there's a two-pronged advice. I think you should for sure do it, because if you believe in yourself in terms of I want to do this, you have some sort of, maybe that's more the natural you, right? Like maybe you're living a different life now, not pursuing what you really, if you were just being 100% you, that's what you'll be doing. And you should lean into that and do it, because if people become more of themselves, the world becomes a better place, So you should try and do it. And then if you fail, that's okay. You learn. So I would say do it if you feel that's what you want to do. And secondly, don't forget to love yourself. It's very easy to only love yourself if you succeed, or only love yourself if it's a cool thing that you're doing, or whatever. Like, it manifests in some ways. I love yourself just the way you are, and no qualms. So when you pursue the journey, don't forget that. It's very easy to associate yourself and love for yourself with success or some external mean when you're doing this journey, but try to not do that.
Yeah. But you need also a healthy amount of suffering, right?
Yeah, I mean, fear and loss of love have won many trophies, as they say,
No, obviously everything you say is true. I'm not, I wanted to make a comment. I mean, to me, it is everything that you said. I think there's probably also, sometimes it's also okay first going into a job and learning and doing something else. And also it's okay being an entrepreneur and going back to a job. I was jokingly saying that I'm employable. I don't think I am, by the way. But I think that, I guess just be open, there's no failing.
Yeah,
There's
that's right.
actually no failing. Whatever you do, it's going to be all right. Life goes on. If there's really a problem, then if you're sick, it's different, or someone is sick. But yeah, just nothing. What's the worst that can happen? Probably not so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only you lose out of things that you really do want to do.
Yeah.
Hey, Niklas, it was a pleasure having you. I would love
Yes.
you to say a last word a few words to our audience and letting them know in who you are again, what you're building, and why they should come and use your product.
Yeah, great. Hey, thanks to anyone who's been listening. Hopefully it's been valuable to you and you've enjoyed it. So yeah, my name is Nick and I'm the founder of Claro, and Claro is a tool for people, particularly without a financial background, to make it easier to work with numbers. And if you feel like you're a creatively minded person who struggle with numerical tasks like forecasting or budgeting or whatever it is, you should reach out. And I've literally made it my life's mission to help people like you. So please reach out. And if you're a fellow entrepreneur or anyone who found my words in some way helpful and you have particular challenges that you face, reach out for that reason also, and I'll be glad to help.